So I was out with some buyers this week and they are looking at building new construction. And I wrote down all of the discussions and questions that we talked about through the day because this is such a fun and exciting time. And there are a lot of nuances. And honestly, sometimes we see people who spend way more than they planned, or maybe they pick a home site that they later regret because new construction is about so much more than just choosing your floor plan. We're talking it's sun exposure, home site priorities, what is actually included, structural upgrades that are really hard to change later, CDD, HOA, capital contributions, closing costs, builder timelines, design appointments, purchasing a model home, and a leaseback when you do so. So if you're building in Southwest Florida or anywhere else, this is what you need to know before you sign on the dotted line. Our team is here to help buyers build smart, avoid costly mistakes, and choose communities that truly fit their lifestyle. Now, you've probably watched my videos before. You know I am not an attorney or a tax professional. I am a professional realtor, and I am here to share real-world guidance just about the real estate side so that you know what to ask, what to expect, and how you can protect your options. So before we talk about upgrades and get into the nitty-gritty, we have to start with one question, and that is, what is your highest priority? Because usually we don't get everything that we want. So I want you to choose your number one. Is it the water view? Is it the sun exposure? Is it privacy? Location in the community? Are you walking distance to the amenities? Is it down and dirty and it's all about price? Or do you have to have a specific floor plan? And let's talk about why this matters and having your top priority. I've seen people fall in love with the water view, but then they realize that the lanai is not even usable the way that it's set up. And they stop using the outdoor space, which was part of the reason they wanted to move to Florida in the first place. I've also seen people who are chasing the perfect sun direction and they think they found it. And then they realize, I really don't like living next to that busy road. So we have to rank your priorities, and then we choose your home site, we choose your builder based on that order. So let's start by talking about sun exposure. This is one of the top questions that we get, and honestly, it's different for everyone. So in Southwest Florida, the direction your lanai faces can change everything. And when we talk about sun exposure, we are talking about from your lanai. How comfortable does the space feel? How much are you going to use it? How warm the pool stays? And how does it change the inside of the house? So here's how we break that down. Eastern facing lanais. Beautiful morning sun. You love to have your coffee out on the lanai in the morning, and that is a great option for you if you go with eastern facing. These homes and lanais can usually be a little more comfortable in the day because the stronger sun at that point is behind the house. So if you love slow mornings, you like having breakfast and coffee outside, and you don't want your lanai to be warm at 5 o'clock or for happy hour, east might be a good match for you. South, I'm sure you've heard about south. South facing lanais is where you get the most sun because you typically have sun for most of the day. So if you're looking for maximum light, you want your pool to be in the sunshine all day, then you should consider south. It might mean that you have a little more heat in the afternoon, so make sure that you have some shade and good covered lanai option. But if you are a sunshine person and you are moving to Florida because you want everything to be light and bright and you want your pool to stay warm or the back of your lanai to stay warm, then south might be the winner, and you will often hear it as one of the more popular options. But my actual favorite is north-facing lanai. My favorite lanai has been north. The light's a little softer and it's usually a little less direct, and as year-round residents, we like that break in the afternoons. So you want to make sure that your home is set up appropriately. You need your pool pushed out so that it's still in the sun, but you can also get sun most of the day on your pool if you have a north-facing lanai with the right lot fit. And another really popular option is west-facing lanais because, of course, our sunsets here in Southwest Florida, they are special. And this is where you get it, and it can be absolutely stunning at the end of the day. Just know that it does bring the strongest afternoon and evening sun, and sometimes that can feel intense, especially in the summer. But if you love sunsets and that's part of what you're moving here for, then you absolutely need to consider west. And you just got to think about what are some other options. You can have some roller down shades. You can put hurricane shades on there. You just have to plan for some of that heat later in the day, but there are ways to get around it. I promise you, we had a west facing and we just had some hurricane shutters that we would lower down to help block some of that afternoon sun. So quick pro tip here, don't choose this direction based on what you think sounds best or what your friends or neighbors tell you. You need to choose it based on how you plan on using the lanai. We all are looking to live our own lifestyle when we move here. And for some people, if you're a morning person, that might mean that Eastern is best for you. If you are a sunset diva, then you might want west. If you really like to use your pool and you know you're going to be using it all the time, then you want to make sure you've got south or a north with your pool in the sun all day long. And that's how you choose the best direction. When you're building a home, you want to make sure that you check out the lot in different times of the day to see what is the actuality of what that sun is, because we also have secondary directions. So just because it's north, it might be northwest, it might be northeast, etc. You understand what I'm saying. So you want to make sure you get a lot fit from that builder, and you want to visit the lot multiple times of the day, get some pictures, and see what you're going to experience in different sunlight. You can kind of step off to figure out where your lanai might be, where your pool might be, and give you a good sense of what you can expect. Next thing that we talked about, we looked at multiple different builders, and they all have different standards that come with the new build. When you walk into a model home, they look incredible. Those are decked out. They have designers come in and furnish and design them. So many of the things you see in model homes are not included. So you need to make sure that you ask every builder, what's included in the base price? What flooring do you get? What is standard and where does it go? What cabinets and countertops are standard? What appliance packages are included? What is the standard ceiling height, door height? Is it impact windows and doors? If not, where are the shutters? What kind of shutters? What is the finish of the lanai? Are pavers standard? Is an extension standard? You get my drift. Does it come with any lighting? Are there any pre-wires for fans? Are there any smart home features? And then what kind of landscaping package and irrigation comes? All right, now listen, pro tip, you don't want to just let them verbally spit some of this out. They should have a standard features sheet that they can share with you that you're then able to compare side by side between the builders, and then also even between inside the builders. Sometimes they have different levels of homes. So two homes might look similar, but one might include a bunch of standard features and finishes and costs a little more, but maybe in another one you have to actually upgrade to those, which then can make it makes it hard to compare apples to apples, which is what we always want to do. So you want to see those standard features to be able to compare. And now this is a big one. Oh, is it fun to go to the design center and do all of your upgrades? But before you get there, you have to go through your structural choices. So the structural choices happen at the time of signing of the contract. And these are the things that are a little more challenging to change later down the road. So they do affect the permit, which is why they have to happen at the time of contract. So you're going to pick your floor plan, you're going to pick your lot, and you're going to pick your structural upgrades. So what are structural upgrades? Well, here's the things I'm talking about. If you're going to do a covered lanai extension, if you're going to add an extra bathroom, or you're going to add a pool bath, if you're going to add a bedroom, if you're going to make a flex room a den and put on doors, is there a garage extension allowed? Maybe you have an option to, instead of windows, you can put sliding glass doors. Sometimes you can increase the ceiling height. You can make it a little taller. You can add tray ceilings. Let's see, what else? Roughing and plumbing for an outdoor kitchen, or for a pool, possibly if you're going to add a pool later. Sometimes you can rough in for that. But you do have to make some of these decisions up front, again, because they impact the permit. And you really got to think, if it's something that you might want to add later and it's structural, you might want to do it during the build, because later sometimes is an option, but it can be extremely expensive when we're talking about structural changes, not necessarily design changes. All right, another place that we're kind of taking a little left turn here, a discussion that we had, which is something that these buyers who are the Midwest are not familiar with, is a CDD. So you definitely want to understand, does your community have a CDD? Because it will change your true monthly cost. So CDD stands for Community Development District, which it's a special taxing district that helps fund the community infrastructure and amenities. So when a developer comes in, they get to take out a CDD to help with the roads, the drainage, the landscaping, the gate, sometimes the amenities. And it is not the same as HOA. They are two separate things. So your HOA fee is going to be a monthly or quarterly cost that includes your amenities. Sometimes it includes your lawn care, sometimes cable, internet, etc. The CDD is actually a non-ad valorem item that is collected on your tax bill. So it is a line item that you'll see every year. So you only pay it once a year. So when the community's being built, the developer might use that CDD to help finance the upfront costs. And then all of the homeowners, it gets split out and they pay it back over time through their property taxes. So there are two pieces to the CDD. You have a debt portion. This is essentially the repayment of the loan that was taken out over time for all the infrastructure and amenities. Then you also have an operations and maintenance portion, which is ongoing upkeep tied to what the CDD maintains. So think roads, think lake easements. Sometimes they require some upkeep and they have to work on the littoral shelf and things like that. So there is always going to be an ongoing maintenance. So if the community you're looking at does have a CDD, you will notice that the tax bills might be higher than a similarly priced home without a CDD. If you're getting a loan, then that would be part of your escrow if your lender is escrowing payments for you. So regardless, you do have to understand that that is going to be part of your all-in costs and carrying costs of the home. So sometimes this surprises people. They're not familiar or they don't understand how it works, and it can catch them off guard. So if you're looking at the same priced home in two different neighborhoods and one has a CDD and one does not, the tax amount is going to be different, and you just have to understand what those payments are coming into it so you have all the information you need to make a good decision. So you want to make sure you're asking, does this community have a CDD? And if so, how much is it? They usually will have it in writing somewhere. You might want to look, there is usually websites, they have their own board. You can see how much is debt versus maintenance. How many years is it for? Can you pay it off early? And what would that cost you? And is the amount expected to change as the community continues to get built out? Because one important point on the newer communities, sometimes that CDD number changes as new phases are in and the budgets adjust. So you want to make sure you're asking all these questions. I mean, there are communities that we do a lot of business in where the phase 1 CDD amount is different than the phase 2. So again, it's just important that you have all of this information. So the bottom line, CDD is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you're going to get incredible amenities and infrastructure, and that's how it's being paid. But you do need to understand it up front and understand the long-term expectations, because the reality is that even though it's going to get paid off at some point, there will always be projects and infrastructure that needs to be supported. So will it ever totally go away? I don't have a crystal ball, but methinks no. So you just have to be expecting that. And again, in Southwest Florida, it is extremely common. We have very few communities that do not have a CDD, especially communities that have been built in the last 20 years. A couple more cost categories that you just want to make sure you're asking questions about and be aware of when you buy new construction. And in fact, the first one we also have in a lot of our resale communities that are associations, and it's called a capital contribution. And it is a fee that is charged at closing to the buyer purchasing the loan. That capital contribution works into the budget and it helps fund reserves for the association. So you definitely want to ask, is there a capital contribution in this community? How much is it? How do you determine? Usually it is a set number and it's the same number for everyone. But what you're going to notice with new construction is that typically there are a set of one-time fees that will be assessed at closing to the buyer. A capital contribution is often part of that. Sometimes there'll be an amenity fee. It's not uncommon to see an irrigation hookup fees. So when you buy a home new construction, there are a handful of closing costs that are picked up by the buyer that can be a significant chunk in comparison to buying a resale. Now, when we're talking about new construction, the builders often will offer incentives. They will offer closing cost incentives, and that is their way of trying to soften that a little bit. So they typically will offer so much money back at closing that kind of helps offset a lot of those one-time fees, again, that are typically higher in a new build than when you're buying a resale. So I kind of just got into closing costs and incentives a little bit, but again, there is typically, it is typically tied, the incentive, to using the builder's lender if you're getting a loan, definitely using their preferred title company. That typically is how you actually are able to utilize the incentives. And sometimes they're a really great deal, but you just got to make sure you look at what are all the numbers and break everything out. So we always want to compare. And if you are getting a loan and you want to use a different lender, you certainly can do that. What our experience has shown is that oftentimes the builder lender can match the current rates that are going on, but what they typically can't match is a lot of the incentives that come, because all of those one-time startup costs still apply, whether you use the builder lender or you use another lender. But you are always free to use whoever you choose. It just might have an impact on some of those incentives. And this is one of our specialties. Our team works with a lot of new construction. Jeremy and I have built many new construction homes ourselves. So we have a lot of experience in understanding what to ask, what do we need to look for, negotiating different incentives, and finding great deals for the clients that we're working with. Experience does matter, and we would love the opportunity to put it to work for you. So there's a lot of thoughts out there, and people will hear them say it all the time, that you can get a better deal if you don't use a realtor. The new construction reps that we partner with assure us that this is not true. And in fact, I would argue that it might actually cost you money in dollars or missed extra incentives that we might be able to secure for you. We work really hard on having great relationships with all of our builder partners here, and we are able to be your boots on the ground and really be an advocate for you if you do decide to pursue something new construction. Okay, let's talk about track builder, custom, semi-custom. I've made videos on this before that you can find that go into a little more depth, but just real high level. Production builders, that's exactly how it sounds. They are the most streamlined because they've got set floor plans. Those structural options we talked about, not an option with a production builder. They've got set floor plans. They usually have very, very minimal options. And the process, frankly, is a little more predictable because they just do the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. So if you think a Lennar house, if you've ever looked at a Lennar community, they are production builder. Most of the houses, you have 5 of them, they're going to look very similar. They're going to have a little bit of a different front elevation. They're going to have a different color scheme, but on the inside, countertops are going to be the same. The cabinets are going to be the same. The layout is absolutely going to be the same. Maybe pool, maybe no pool. So you will have some changes like that. But the base of the house, the shell that you get with a track builder is what it is. There's very little that you can do to that house. And honestly, if you're looking for more bang for your buck, this is the way that you probably want to look. And if you are looking to not have to make many decisions, this is another good option for you, because what you see is what you get for the most part with a track production builder. And we have a lot of options here for semi-custom. So you get a little more flexibility with a semi-custom builder. You definitely get more design choices. Sometimes you have much higher end finish options. There are variations, and you can make structural changes at the time of contract. Take out a bathtub, make it a walk-in shower, make the shower bigger. So think builders like Pulte, Taylor Morrison, Toll Brothers. Your standard level is set, and then you can expand and make it better from there. Now, custom is the cream of the crop. They are the most flexible, and they can be the most complex. You have many, many, many decisions to make. They take typically a little more time, but you have a ton of variables and a ton of options, and you can make crazy structural changes, and you can customize these homes. Sometimes they'll go completely custom. Sometimes you will take a floor plan to start with, but then you can start moving walls, adding things, making pocket doors instead of all kinds of decisions and choices that you have when you go to a custom builder. Think Stock Custom Luxury Homes, Seagate, John Cannon Homes, Lee Weatherington. These are some of our Southwest Florida custom home builders. So here is the question that you need to ask yourself. Are you looking for a simple process with fewer decisions? Or do you want more control and customizations? And do you really want to be able to make that home everything that you want, down to the doors, the windows? Neither is right or wrong. It's just a discussion point that you need to have when you're making a decision on which way you're going to move down this process to be able to move forward. And obviously, budget plays into that as well. That is going to narrow down what are your choices and selections as far as builders and communities go. Another thing you need to consider is timeline and build process. Sometimes the timeline surprises people. You have your contract date, that's not your move-in date. And there are stages that you move through when you go under contract on a new construction home. So you have your contract date, you have a deposit schedule. Typically, there is a deposit due at the time of signing of the contract. Sometimes it is a small percentage that steps up to the actual deposit that is required. They can be different based on the builders, and they all have a little bit of a different schedule and how it flows out. But typically, you go to contract, you put a small deposit down then. You have a larger deposit based on your lot premium, your floor plan, and your structural upgrades. You typically then would have a deposit, a percentage of that amount due within a week or 2 weeks of signing of the contract. Typically after this, the next step is to go to the design appointment. This usually happens within 1 to 2 months. And that's where you go and you get to make all of your fun interior design choices. This is where you would design your pool if you're adding a custom pool to the build. And then once that is all complete, they price that out. And then you typically have the same percentage that you paid on the home so far. You're going to have a percentage of that total that is then due at that point. Now, at that point, you're typically done with payments until you get to closing, unless you have worked out a different deposit timeline with the builder, which can be done at contract. So if that's something that you need to work through, then we would be your resource to help you work through that. Then you've got some other factors that you need to come into play from a timing standpoint. Some of the builders offer pre-drywall walkthroughs, or you have walkthroughs and timing set up throughout the build of the home. Track builders, no. You sign your contract, you pay your deposit, and then you buy the house at closing. It is literally that simple. Now, if you're working with us and you are buying one of those homes, we will go by and we will pop in and we will get pictures for you so that you can continue to see progress. And then obviously if you choose to do an inspection at the end, we will still be your boots on the ground. It's just the process is just different with a production builder. With Pulte and Taylor Morrison and some of these other builders, you have more inspections and walkthroughs throughout the process. And then when you go luxury, you have even more custom luxury. The build time is much longer on those homes. There are a lot more changes and features because of the customization. So the build time usually extends longer than what we see. So current times as of January 2026 in Southwest Florida, production builders, they're moving their homes along, 4 to 6 months. Semi-custom, anywhere from 6 to 10, sometimes 12 to 14. It just depends on the neighborhood and the builder. And then your custom luxury homes typically take a longer time frame. Again, it varies based on timing, but lately we've been seeing anywhere from 14 to 18 months. Could be faster, could be slower. It just depends. But permitting is moving along well right now in Southwest Florida, and there are not many construction delays that we are experiencing at this time. So builders are moving through and getting homes done pretty quickly right now. But these would obviously be conversations that would be had with the builder when negotiating the contract and talking through, so that you can understand what is the timeline, what do you need to expect, when do you need to realistically be prepared on the early end and on the late end of that contract, because sometimes things can close early, sometimes they can close late. Very difficult to try to perfectly time new construction. But if you're buying from out of state, again, we plan to be your boots on the ground and help go through walkthroughs, meet you there, FaceTime you if needed, whatever might be the case depending on your situation. Another question that we get frequently asked and talked about is the model homes, because the model homes always look amazing. I mean, they have Professional people come in and furnish them and design them and put everything together so it looks so good. So they do list those for sale. In fact, it is possible to buy the model homes. So typically, if that's something that you're interested in, a lot of times the builder will have a list that they will be holding onto for people who are interested. And then they do it different depending on what's happening in the market. Sometimes if they have a whole slew of people who are waiting in line to possibly get the model, they might do a bid process. Sometimes they will just list it for sale and they will just put it on the MLS, and then buyers can make offers on it the same as they would a traditional resale. And then sometimes what comes with that is they do want to sell their model home, but then they want to ask for a lease back so they can continue using it for people to see what they're building in the neighborhood while they move forward and build a new home. So basically, you buy the home and you're securing it for your use once they are done with that. So what happens is you buy the home. Usually there's a furniture and package involved. The furniture package is usually on the side, and a lot of times it is required. So people will ask that, like, do I have to buy it as it is with the furniture? A lot of times you do have to buy the furniture package that is with the home. But again, everything's negotiable, so you never know. But usually the builder has that decision made already. Yes, and most of the time, the furniture package is a requirement on the side. But anyway, then what would happen is you would close on the home, and then a lease back would go into play. So you would have a lease with the builder with the negotiated amount based on what the builder was offering for that particular lease back and for a particular period of time. And then some of the questions that you want to ask in addition to that, you just want to know what is included. Is everything in the home that's being shown as the model, is that all included? All of the furniture, what warranties apply, what condition will it be delivered in, how long is the lease back going to be? So all of those questions are things that would be worked through as part of the negotiation. There's actually quite a bit to consider if you're looking at buying or building new construction. So if you remember nothing else, remember these things. Figure out what is your number one priority first. Confirm your sun exposure based on how you live. Get your standard feature sheet in writing from the builder. Start thinking early on about what structural upgrades you're going to want to make, because that is a decision that you have to finalize early in the process. Define CDD, HOA fees, one-time fees. What do you need to expect for that so you know your total costs for purchasing the home and maintaining the home? What incentives are in play? What is the timeline, deadlines? Is there anything at risk? And then asking the right questions if you're really considering buying a model home and doing a lease back so that you understand when you can expect to actually take possession of the home once the lease back has ended. If you are considering building in Southwest Florida or buying a home, selling a home, you want to compare communities, you want to compare builders, home sites, true costs, please reach out to us. We have a lot of experience in new construction and resale throughout Southwest Florida, and this is what we love to do, and we love making the process feel clear and exciting instead of overwhelming for you, and we love to be your boots on the ground. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel, and please share it with a friend. Let me know, what other questions do you have? What did I forget? Because I'm sure I forgot something in that list. There is a lot to consider because we want to help you have all the information you need to make the best decision when you are moving to or living in Southwest Florida so you can live joy too.